which all countries are a part of, and then you have the Security Council. The Security Council has rotating countries, and then it has 5 countries that are always permanent members, the real permanent members of the UN Security Council. And the United States of America in the Security Council is consistently the #1 defender of Israel and has consistently voted on whatever the fuck Israel wants, and has consistently voted to strike down any kind of condemnation. So the UN has always been very critical of Israel, and many Zionists will tell you for years and years, that's the reason why they've always said UN is actually very anti-Semitic. Now they've obviously elevated that to directly being like UN is Hamas, but that's straight up an old school Zionist take. The major difference is now, beyond those condemnations, the world is paying attention. Young people are paying attention. That's the major issue right now, and that's why there's a lot more pressure, and that's why these international organs are feeling like they have some kind of momentum. The other side of this equation, of course, is obviously Israel's own personal behavior, its own personal conduct thus far. Israel has gone above and beyond. There has never been a siege that has been this violent, this brutal, this bloody. Actually insane that they can just get away with all of this like nothing is happening. I just don't understand. It is because of the United States of America that they can get away with this like there is nothing happening. We give them the weapons and we give them the political cover. That's it. This is precisely why I say America bad, okay?
The scale of what happened last night has forced Israel's Prime Minister into calling this a tragic mistake.
In Rafah, we already evacuated about 1 million non-combatant residents. And despite our utmost efforts not to harm non-combatants, something unfortunately went tragic.
Yeah, it's a tragic mistake. A tragic mistake. I never thought that this would happen. Oh. Dude, oh yes. Thank you. Hassan is a buy. I literally thought you were going to use this as an opportunity to serve a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. So thank you for actually sending me, not that, but instead, the actual thing that the Israeli Defense Force tweeted last night. Oh my God. This is the other aspect of this that I have to mention, which is that the IDF did exactly the same fucking bullshit that they do every time. Every time. They immediately came out with a justification for it. It's so strange, dude. It's so strange. Only hours before Netanyahu decided to claim the strike was a mistake, the IDF edited the humanitarian zone again. The one they had unilaterally declared to say refugee tents they struck in Rafah were not a part of it, okay? So just something to consider here. There is no amount of cruelty or brutality or violence that Israel won't do. And there's no amount of lies that they won't tell. If you look at all of the statements that they offer for one truthful sentiment that they express, there is 700 lies. Every single thing. Now, that's not unique to Israel. That's what every government does. The one thing, because like, dude, come on. I'm an American citizen, okay? It's like listening to the State Department yap about like weapons of mass destruction and then justify an untold amount of cruelty that we subject the rest of the planet to. That's their job. That's what the government does, okay? Misunderstand me. I'm not saying like some anti-Semitic, which is what a lot of people immediately get into a defensive posture against and go, oh, you must be saying this because, oh, they're Jews. They lie all the time, right? No, motherfucker. They're the government. Of course they're going to lie. The difference, however, with the way and the consistency in which Israel lies is that they don't even put effort into it. And here's why. It's because they don't need to. Because America has nestled Israel in its bosom. That's why they don't think they need to lie adequately. It is basically the worst propaganda I've ever seen. The only thing I can think of is like when America tried to be like, Russia must have blown up its own pipeline. Do you remember that? The fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like there was a mass blast where the American government was like, yeah, the Russia probably blew up its own pipeline. We don't know who did it. Definitely not our allies. And it was just like, dude, you're on autopilot. Are you serious? You couldn't come up with something better than that? You know what would have made more sense if you said like the orcas did it. Let's give you an update on Rafah. Netanyahu acknowledged Rafah as a tragic incident, only to continue doing the same thing. Two medical personnel, staffers were killed outside the Kuwait hospital last night. 16 other people were murdered in a similar strike. I believe like 60 plus bombings have occurred since the ICC decision, since the ICJ ceasefire demand. They have not stopped at all. They are going full throttle. And now we have tanks rolling in. And the red lines are ever changing. Where the fuck are the red lines? There are none.
This morning, new fallout after that deadly Israeli strike in Rafah over the weekend. An Israeli official tells NBC News it appears that an IDF bomb ignited a gas tank at the tent camp, sending flames ripping through the site as displaced families slept in shelters made of wood and plastic. The IDF said the strike killed 2 senior Hamas commanders. But amid international criticism, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling it a tragic incident and promising an investigation. Though giving no sign he'll halt the military offensive in Rafah. The White House says the images are heartbreaking, adding Israel must take every precaution possible to protect civilians. The death toll in Rafah bringing protesters onto the streets. From New York to Los Angeles to Paris, where demonstrators clashed with police.
Here it is. Now they're trying to do damage control, which is crazy because while they're trying to do damage control, they're simultaneously doing more damage, which they will inevitably have to do damage control over. So think about that. As we are having this conversation, Israel is rolling its tanks in the center of Rafah, the last remaining humanitarian safe zone. They're moving tanks into. Early hours after this attack, they were claiming victory, saying 2 higher up Hamas members were killed. But now there's a PR issue. It was an accident. Of course, that is how it always works. We didn't do it. It was a misfired rocket. Okay, we did it, but we were killing Hamas. Okay, there was no Hamas, but you know, this is an accident caused because of Hamas's war on Israel. They're genocidal. Okay, there was no Hamas there. It was just civilians. We told them to be there, but then also we shot and killed them. But, you know, maybe you should stop paying attention to us because that seems a little anti-Semitic that you're constantly chirping about Israel doing genocide. Feels a lot better when you don't got a bitch in your ear telling you that it's unconscionable and inhumane to do so. They're back to this fake phone call bullshit. Bro. Who believes this any longer, man? Like, they've been doing this and recycling this literally since October 7. It's just so stupid, dude. Oh my God, bro. It is so bad. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. My name is Mohammed. I am Hamas terrorist and I am using human shield. I hope Israel will never bomb us because they are most moral army.
I will now share the facts that we've gathered so far. As you can see, in our aerial...
I haven't even looked at the phone call, and my immediate reaction is it's most likely fake because Israel has faked phone calls a million times over. We'll dive into it. But the phone call, again, the phone call is almost always so made up. 2 Gazans on the phone, and you can't even hear the sound of drones behind either. IDF not even trying. Yeah, I mean, we'll look at it.
From the El Muasi humanitarian area, what we call the safer zone. Here is...
Wait. Oh my God, bro. First of all, the safer zone. Remember, they call it the safer zone and not a safe zone. Why do they call it the safer zone and not a safe zone, you might ask? That is because a safe zone is a legal designation, and they do not have the interest in providing safety in the safe zone. So they try to say, oh, it's a safer zone, as in it's safer than the other zone that we're blowing up. But that doesn't mean you'll be safe there either. And you won't get running water. You won't get like, you won't get drinkable water, for example. Like in a safe zone, you're supposed to provide the civilians water, electricity, certain amenities, certain things for survival. And of course, a guarantee that they will not blow you up. So they go safer zone. They play fast and loose with this narrative.
Where Hamas claims we struck. And here is where we conducted our strike against the Hamas senior commanders outside the area designated as a humanitarian area. Our aerial surveillance was filming prior to the strike in order to minimize civilian harm. Here is the footage from our strike of the specific structure where the senior Hamas commanders...
Yeah, no other strikes happened, by the way, just that.
...were meeting.
Remember, going back to Al-Ahli, which we still do not have any conclusive evidence on whether or not it was a misfired Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket or an Israeli artillery strike that hit like a gas tank or whatever the we do not have any real evidence to this day, and we probably never will. But what did Israel do after Al-Ahli? What did Israel do after Al-Ahli? They immediately said we were not operating in the area. That was a lie. Then they came out with a phone conversation that was also immediately disproven to be truthful. It was also a lie. Then they said, first they said it was Hamas. Well, first they celebrated it and said there are Hamas terrorists at the hospital, so we had to blow it up. Then they went back on it and were like, okay, just kidding. It wasn't. It was actually a misfire. It was a misfire rocket. Okay, that blew up. Meanwhile, Osin and